Carolina Panthers and the Cincinnati Bengals right now, 7.5-point favorites are the Bengals at home, though this is interesting. You can get an expensive 7 out there as well. So if you are looking to play Cincinnati, you can get an expensive 7. If you're looking to play the Panthers, you can get a 7.5. 42.5 is your total. Adam, look, Cincinnati couldn't have looked worse against Cleveland. They were all out of sorts. It was probably the worst game they've played all season long. And Carolina, look, I think they're riding pretty high off of what was a near win last week. I think they probably maximized as much as they could out of that game. I still don't think they're good. I still think they're bad. I think the defense at least has some players on it, but that's about it. I think this number is appropriate. If somebody wanted to play the Bengals in a teaser, I would not tell them not to, but I think everything about this just screams appropriate. And when that is the case, I tend to take a pass on the game.
Yeah, the only thing that has me slightly interested is an over 42.5 because of the fact that I don't think the Carolina offense is good. They're certainly not as good as they looked last week.
Yeah.
But what I do think is that PJ Walker is human variance, and he's going to take those shots that are going to either result in turnovers that could lead to points for Cincinnati, or like we saw last week with DJ Moore, they might lead to points in the most unexpected manner. So I don't want to side in this thing for sure. If you're taking the points with Carolina, and we've seen this number come down from 9.5 into the 7 from where it opened, I think you're buying really, really high on a roster that's fundamentally bad. And that would be a very, very dangerous spot to me. If you're looking at that and saying, well, Cincinnati didn't play well without Jamar Chase last week, the problems were not about just not having Jamar Chase. There were far more problems than that. And the question for me this week would become, can you get Zach Taylor away from pounding it with Joe Mixon, especially early in the game? I'm not willing to bet on that, to bet on Cincinnati even in a teaser. So I'm with you, Matt. It's a pass.
Steven, look, I still think Cincinnati's a good team. That being said, there's still the Zach Taylor factor involved, and that's why I can't lay it here. Conventional thinking is that you should lay it here because you're never going to get Cincinnati with as low a sentiment as you have on them right now, and you're probably not going to get the Panthers with as high a sentiment on them as you're going to get right now. So this seems like the perfect time where you're supposed to be buying in on Cincy, but I just can't get there. Like I said, a teaser leg I think is fine if you wanted to go that direction or whatever, but I can't do it on the 7.
I have very little trust with either of these teams. I think there's a lot of volatility here. And if you take away the Hail Mary that PJ Walker had at the end of the game last year, he had a passer rating of 63 in that game. They were incredibly lucky to cover that spread. And I've heard a lot this week about, well, the Bengals have gotten beat up by good pass rushes, and the Panthers don't have a strong pass rush. They are 20th in pass rush win rate, 22nd in pressure rate. That ignores the fact that the Bengals' protection issues on their offensive line have largely not mattered who they played. 6 of their 8 opponents have a pressure rate of 25th or worse this season, and Burrow's taken the second most sacks behind only Justin Fields. It has not mattered whether they play a strong pass rush or not. They have fundamental flaws in this offensive line. And because of that volatility, I can't make a bet here, even though I do think it is buying low on the Bengals at this number and perhaps pretty good spot to take them in a teaser leg. But there's absolutely a chance that their protection is just so bad that it just breaks everything else down and they lose another game.
Well, and Matt, to add one piece to that, I think this highlights what we talk about all the time about sacks, especially being a quarterback stat. And if you look at around with Joe Burrow is among the top 4 quarterbacks in average time to throw this year in the NFL. The other 3 are running quarterbacks. So it makes sense. They hang on because if you're Justin Fields, if you're Lamar Jackson, then the threat of the run is there and you can hang on for a second and then decide, cool, I'm bouncing from the pocket and I'm going to make something out of it. For Joe Burrow, he's just waiting too long, period. And so good line, bad line, we're going back to what the criticism was of Burrow before with the pressure. And so I know it's sacrilege while you are getting ready to go to an LSU game to talk this way about Joe Burrow, but here I am doing it.
Yeah. Like I said, I think they win the game. So it's probably like a teaser leg if you found a dance partner that you like. But outside of that, I can't get there.